Welcome to this introduction to grounded theory. I believe the two most important words we should associate with grounded theory are open and iterative. By this I mean the following. Grounded theory is a qualitative approach to data collection and analysis that requires an open mind and a dedication to iterative or repetitive exploration. Most models begin with a hypothesis, or an idea you're trying to prove or disprove. Grounded theory takes the opposite approach. It seeks to explain a phenomenon from the ground up. And in this case, those building materials are the words, actions, reflections, and observations of participants in the study. The theory, or the phenomenological explanation, is inductively derived from the data. There is no hypothesis to prove or disprove, only data. This means that not all research questions are suited for grounded theory. It also means that not all researchers are suited for it either. If you think you already know the answer to your question, or if you're trying to prove or disprove something or someone, grounded theory is probably not right for you. The mindset of a grounded theorist has to be one of total openness to what might be discovered. Any desire to manipulate the data or inject one's own assertions, beliefs, or motives into them must be left at the door. Research questions tend to reflect this truth. For example, what are the experiences of? How do leaders, or what do teachers perceive as? These are examples of common research question starters that one might find in the grounded theory literature. They indicate that the question is just that, a question, to be answered by the participants and the data they provide. Again, it is from the data that a theory is then derived, and more on that in a minute. So with an approach like this, one should be immediately able to discern that data collection is the most critical step. Without rich, dense data, there is no grounding for the theory. Herein, it is helpful to draw on some Latin ideology and etymology, specifically the concept of beginning in medias res, a term that translates to in the middle of things. Almost like walking into a movie 20 minutes late. The characters have been established or mostly established, the general plot has been laid out, and you've missed a lot of the narrative. If you could stop the action in that movie and inject yourself into the film, you'd probably ask the characters a series of questions that try and best understand what is happening and maybe start to wonder about where the plot is headed. Grounded theory is just like that. You're coming in the middle of things, literally and figuratively. Consider this diagram from Kathy Sharmaz's seminal text, Constructing Grounded Theory. Beginning at the bottom, or the ground, and moving up, we see that one starts with an open research question and moves immediately into data collection. Most often, intensive interviews, focus groups, surveys, and document analysis, all situated in their relevant contexts. All of this is open-ended, but probing. What makes grounded theory really different, however, is what follows. The analysis of data in grounded theory is very, very unique, in part because it is intended to beget more data collection. This is what I meant earlier when I called this iterative. Analysis begins with the notion of seeking to break down the data into as many themes or codes as needed. This is called open coding. Another way of putting it is in this question. What theoretical themes or categories might the data include? Accompanying this coding is the process of memo writing, almost like a researcher's journal, a way of explaining the codes as they are developing and starting to tie them together. That step is called axial coding, finding the intersection or the axis. This is often where gaps are identified, sending the research back to data collection, sometimes to a broader audience, and analysis continues until the codes become more and more clear, more and more succinct, to the point that certain categories or themes can actually be adopted by the researcher as theoretical concepts that potentially explain the phenomenon at the center of the research question. We call these the core categories. And it's at that point of adoption that the actual act of writing begins in grounded theory. But only with that previously discussed openness and dedication to the iterative process in mind. Writing, too, forces the re-examination of earlier data and may identify more gaps in questions that require more data gathering. It's only when those gaps disappear that the full picture is in view and a theory can be posited. So that's your introduction to grounded theory. We hope you enjoy the resources provided in this module, and we hope that you find them useful as you march toward decisions critical for the writing of your dissertation.